Are there any members of the Dire Skates Roller Derby here this evening? There they are, they're in the back. They're in the back. Well, our next speaker is one of their own. The Dire Skates, should you not know, is Richmond's own roller derby team. And one of their members is our next storyteller. On skates, she is known as Snark Attack. By day, she is known as Lea Städtler, a career coach at Earlham. So please welcome Snark Attack.
All right, so picture this. I'm at the skating rink here in Richmond, wearing their old school rental skates. You know, those brown leather ones that go above your ankle. I'm also wearing knee pads and elbow pads, wrist guards, a helmet, and a mouth guard that's so big that I can barely close my mouth or actually breathe. And I'm wearing jeans, tight jeans. Not the kind of jeans you should do any kind of exercise in. That was last year, January 2018, and I was at the roller derby tryouts. And really, I was standing there, I was wondering, was this really a good idea? Just a couple of weeks earlier, I was home in Germany enjoying the holidays with my family. And I don't usually get homesick very often, but every time I'm home, I realize that family is something I'm missing out of 90% of the year. And at that point, I'd lived in Richmond for about a year and a half and felt settled into my job and my new place. But outside of work, I didn't know anybody or didn't really have anything to do. So when the new year came around and it was time for me to come back to Richmond, I decided that I wanted to change that, and I was looking to find a community within Richmond. Of course, I could have joined like a book club or volunteered for one of the nonprofits in town, right? But as it happened, I saw the tryouts page pop up on my Facebook, and I was immediately attracted to it. Honestly, I'm not quite sure why, because I had absolutely no idea what derby was. I had never been to a game, or bouts as they call them, which I didn't know. I had never seen the roller derby movie Whip It, and I also didn't really know anything about that crazy version that was popular in the 60s and 70s, but that's probably a good thing because I maybe wouldn't have done it if I known about that. But I knew I loved inline skating as a kid, and my coworker told me that bouts are really fun to watch, so obviously I'm ready for these tryouts, right? Yet I also had some reservations because it had been 15 years since I'd last been on skates, and I also really didn't do contact sport. Like, that much I knew about derby, it was contact sport. And so tryouts day comes around, and I still haven't quite made up my mind if I really want to do it. My coworker texts me in the morning, it's like, hey, you want to go to the movie today? I'm like, sure, let's go, but let's go to the early showing because I might go to tryouts later. I also packed some gym clothes just in case as we go to the movie. And so we go to the movie. It runs a lot longer than I anticipated, but by the end I've made up my mind and I book it to the skate. So there I am, I'm already late. I don't have time to actually change into my gym clothes, and that's how I end up there in jeans, feeling very self-conscious about my choice of clothing. As I look around, I see some of the veteran skaters are already on the track and they're whizzing past at like 100 miles an hour. They all look strong and confident, and they move around with such ease that it really looks like they were already born with skates on their feet. And here I am, I'm feeling really small and pretty intimidated at that point. But so I take my first step onto the hardwood floor, and I nearly lose my balance immediately. I look around, and it seems like nobody noticed, so I just play it cool, and I do a couple of warm-up laps and find my bearings pretty quickly. So over the next 2 hours, they make us go through some drills. They teach us how to stop and fall safely and just kind of watch and observe how we're doing. And then at the end of those 2 hours, they make us do laps for a full 3 minutes. Now, you don't realize how long laps are until you're trying to move your very out-of-shape body around the track as fast as you can in skates that are by that point very uncomfortable and in tight jeans. So by the end of it, my thighs are burning, my lungs are burning, and I'm wondering if I will ever make it out of these jeans because they're now pasted onto my body. But still, despite all of that, I realized once I get home that I really had a ton of fun, and I would love to be part of this team. So a couple hours after tryouts, I get a message from one of the trainers. Hey, do you want to do Derby Light, which is their non-contact version, or do you want to actually try out for the team? Either, I reply without thinking about it, and I regret it immediately. I don't want to do contact sport. I can't do contact sport. I mean, look at me. I am barely 5 feet tall, not exactly the size you need to plow into people, right? Being small has always kind of been an issue for me. I stopped growing when I was about 12 years old, while everybody else just kept getting taller. And when you're small and you're quiet and introvert in middle school, you get overlooked by teachers and classmates a lot. And you kind of get that message that you don't matter. And I remember that at that time, I also asked my mom, hey mom, can I play volleyball? And she flat out said, no, you're too small for that. So instead I did gymnastics, a sport much better suited for somebody my size. And so with that, I just really felt like my size was a clear limitation for me that I couldn't do roller derby. Yet somehow I had committed to the team, and once I commit to something, I don't back down. So we had a couple of weeks to buy our own gear, our own skates, our own padding, and then our probationary period as fresh meat starts. That's what they call us, by the way, fresh meat. And so they teach us some footwork, basic skills that we need to be safe, and we build up our endurance and strength during that time. And so that's when all kinds of firsts for me begin. The first time that I am able to stop myself on skates without plowing full speed into a wall. The first time I have a bruise on my butt so big that I spend every morning proudly admiring it in the mirror before I go to work. The first time I'm so sore after practice that I literally have to crawl up the stairs to get to the shower. Those were some proud moments that I had right there. And I was pretty proud of the progress that I was making with the skills that I was learning. Until we get to that dreaded day where we have our first practice with hitting drills. My feelings about contact sport haven't changed this whole time. I still don't really want to do it. But again, I can't just chicken out in the middle of practice. So, two vets line up on the track, and we're just supposed to hit them with our hips and shoulders like left and right, just like this. And so I get at the end of the line, watch all the newbies go first, and just kind of observe. None of them die. None of them are seriously injured. So maybe this isn't too bad. Finally, it's my turn, and I take a couple of small steps and start hitting the vets. Boop. Like solid rock, they don't move at all. It's just a wall of rock right there. But, it was still a lot of fun, actually. It wasn't as scary as I thought. And so we do this drill over and over, and my confidence grows a little bit every time. And finally, it happens. One of the vets actually moves maybe half an inch. It's like, holy cow, that was awesome. I feel like a superhero now. I feel strong and empowered, and I can actually do this. I'm a derby girl now. Well, those feelings lasted for a good 3 days until our next practice, when the vets decided to turn it up a notch for the newbies and make us go through the gauntlet of death. Which is also just as scary as it sounds. So the vets line up, they basically build a tunnel, they're like sideways next to each other, and we're supposed to go through the tunnel while they hit us from both sides. Yeah, that's terrifying. So I play the same game again as I did the first time, and let all the other newbies go first, and watch them as they make it through. And they're all laughing at the end. So again, maybe this is not too bad. So finally it's my turn, and I, again, take a couple of small steps, and I get into the tunnel and just keep my view just like laser focused to the end of the tunnel. I get pelted by butts and shoulders from both sides, but I stand my ground, And at the end, I really just can't stop laughing because this was so much fun. This was the most fun I ever had, and I just absolutely enjoyed it. And this was really the time where I was like, I can really do this. Like, I can see myself as being part of this team and playing the sport. But unfortunately, not every single practice ends with, just bruises. Last April was the very first time that I broke a bone. And I wish I could say that happened in some cool, heroic, fast-paced, smash people off the track kind of way. But in reality, I just stumbled off my own feet and fell and broke my elbow. But still a first. But that was really also the time that really made me remember again why I joined Derby. Because all these wonderful, strong women showed up and brought me food when I couldn't make my own food. They helped me move all my belongings across town, because of course I break my elbow right before I have to move. And they're just always there to support me. Like, they're some of my great role models. And they're all the way in the back there. Just giving a little shout out right now. And so that's really one of the greatest things about Derby, is that the most intimidating and the most badass skaters are rooting for you the whole way. And they're always there to pick you up when you fall. And last week our new recruits just started. None of them showed up to tryouts in jeans, so they're already a lot smarter than me, which is great. And I just can't, now I'm one of the vets as well, and I just can't wait to see them all go through their very own first and join our family. So, thank you all.
So our tryouts